Right now on the National Weather Desk, Beryl's brutal blast, the massive storm, now an historic Category 5 hurricane. See the damage it's left behind and where it's heading next.
It is total devastation.
And meet the hurricane hunters who fly into the eye of the storm.
It can be a lot more turbulent, a lot more crazy.
And show you how hurricanes form.
First and foremost, you need warm water.
We'll also go back in time to see how the weather impacted the Battle of Gettysburg.
We think the heat index was around 100.
And ever wonder how fireworks get their vibrant colors? We'll explain.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. Hurricane Beryl is now a monster Category 5 storm, the earliest on record to reach that mark. Sustained winds are clocked at 165 miles per hour. Beryl is now over open water with Jamaica in its bullseye tomorrow. Beryl first made landfall in Grenada yesterday, bringing powerful winds that ripped out doors, shattered windows, and lifted roofs off many buildings. The Prime Minister says at least one person is dead. There could be more damage on some of the country's smaller islands, but most communications are down. Another person died in nearby St. Vincent. There's extensive structural damage across the island where hundreds of homes and buildings were damaged or destroyed. The airport is also closed today but could reopen as soon as tomorrow. Beryl dropped more than 6 inches of rain on Barbados. Combined with strong winds, it produced a storm surge up to 9 feet, causing extensive damage to a fishing complex. Fishermen addressed the loss of their businesses, with many boats sinking to the bottom of the harbor.
I've watched 2 boat owners watch their boat sink before their eyes. And then when I had to call, let him know his boat was sinking. When he got here, the boat was already sank.
Meteorologist Brian Vandegraff is tracking Beryl for us this morning and has the latest as the storm heads toward Jamaica. Brian?
Yeah, Steve, as the 8 o'clock update here this morning, max winds 165 miles per hour with gusts to 200 miles per hour. This is a beast, with it moving in the direction of the west-northwest at about 22 miles per hour. This trajectory keeping it over those warm waters of the Caribbean. And I want to show you this track. It does look like it'll head towards Jamaica by tomorrow into the afternoon, potentially making landfall as a Category 3 storm with 120-mile-an-hour winds. Then it'll continue westward towards the Grand Cayman Islands as a Category 2 storm with sustained winds about 100, heading towards the Yucatan Peninsula, then back into the open waters of the Gulf. Could impact portions of the western Gulf of the U.S., portions of Texas and Mexico. On guard as we head towards the weekend.
All right, thank you, Brian. As Hurricane Beryl churns through the Caribbean Sea, many meteorologists are taking note of its impressive eye. Marshall McPeak explains some of the firsts with this storm.
This is only our second named storm of the season, and it was the earliest we've ever had a Category 4 storm. It was also the earliest to ever get to 150 miles per hour. This storm went from tropical depression to a major hurricane, meaning Category 3 or higher, in only 42 hours. That is really fast. It's the easternmost June hurricane since 1933. So that's been a long time, and the easternmost June major hurricane ever. So a lot of records for Beryl on this one, and we'll be watching over the next week and a half or so to see if she sets any more.
NOAA's hurricane hunters have flown multiple missions into Beryl, tracking and monitoring the storm's power. This is video of Beryl's eye. It was taken by the hurricane hunter airplane known as Kermit. Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Rickard is among one of the elite teams that fly into the eye of the hurricane, no matter the size. He describes what it's like in his own words.
It means we're flying right through thunderstorms. We're intersecting it. So the ride can be a lot more turbulent, a lot more crazy. We can get struck by lightning. We can experience extreme turbulence as we're going through Category 5 eye walls of hurricanes. We start turning, and you don't want to get caught on the updraft on one of your sides of your airplane, because then you're just going to get flipped.
Got a good time.
If it starts getting really turbulent, we basically know where we're going. We're going to the eye, and we get into the eye. Then we start maneuvering to find that center fix of the storm. There are some that are definitely gnarly situations. Shall I say, there's been a couple times where I've been on flights where we've kind of got caught in an eye wall where We couldn't get out of it. You don't want too much ground speed. You don't want too much speed. You don't want to be too slow because then you can stall. Hurricane Irma, I flew on that storm as it basically peaked and flew over, I think it was St. Martin, and saw, actually, we could tell from the air at 10,000 feet, like the entire runway was the beach. Like the water and the beach was totally over that runway. And wow, like Cat 5 just wiped this island out. So just being a part of some of those missions, knowing that it's making a significant impact for the people on the ground and the Hurricane Center to issue their warnings, definitely very impacting to us in the airplane.
Check this out, taken from the International Space Station, showing just how large Beryl is. Beryl was able to form because all the ingredients to produce a major hurricane were in place. Meteorologist John Gum gives us a closer look at those components and what's needed for a hurricane of this magnitude to form.
First and foremost, you need warm water, not just at the surface of the ocean, but all the way down through the ocean. The heat content of the ocean has to be high, and we have seen record levels of this heat in the ocean this year, fueling these storms. 80 degrees or above is typically where we need to be, but we've seen upper 80s, low 90s on some of these water temperatures as of late. In addition to the warm water, you need converging winds coming together at the surface to force air upwards and to begin to get that shower and thunderstorm activity to develop. You also need abundant moisture or humidity in the atmosphere over top of these things for them to feed on. Finally, you need winds aloft that are roughly blowing in the same direction and that aren't too strong. If the winds are too strong, they'll shear the tops off these tropical systems and they won't develop. But if you have generally the same direction of winds, they're generally not too terribly strong, and what we call the wind shear is low, all of these ingredients together can form hurricanes. And if all of these ingredients are perfect, then these things can grow huge quickly in a short matter of time and intensify rapidly, just like we saw.
Beryl is just the second named storm of the hurricane season for this year, and with an above-average season expected with many named storms, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. Here's meteorologist Jennifer Collins on what you can do now to get ready for the next big storm in your area.
You want to avoid having to rush through those life-saving preparations by waiting until it's too late. Have your hurricane kit ready to go. You want non-perishable food and water for 3 to 7 days. A good guidance, gallon of water per person per day is ideal for everyone in your home. You want non-perishable food items. That does include canned goods, crackers, things that are shelf-stable like applesauce. Also, a can opener so that you're able to open those canned goods during a storm. Don't forget your pets too. Pet food is needed in your hurricane kit. Have a first aid kit ready to go in your hurricane kit for those emergencies. Also, have flashlights and maybe a lantern on hand that's solar powered or battery operated. Also, a weather radio, whether it's hand cranked or battery operated, is great to have in your hurricane kit. In case we lose power or communication, you're able to get those weather alerts during a storm. Documents and cash should be in a water-sealed bag so that you're able to grab it and put it in your hurricane kit if a storm does threaten our area. Now is also the time to begin planning evacuation routes. Know where you will go and how to get there. You don't need to travel hundreds of miles, but be sure to also keep your pets in mind. With the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins.
Severe weather chances are up this afternoon and evening over the plains. The greatest risk is in northern Missouri and southern Iowa. Some storms will be capable of producing tornadoes, dangerous wind, gusts, and large hail. The risk will begin to ease after sunset. Meantime, heat alerts are posted for about 80 million people today. Temperatures will top 100 degrees for many locations in California, and some areas could exceed 110 degrees tomorrow. Heat warnings stretch through much of North Texas, parts of Oklahoma, and Louisiana. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, this week marks the anniversary of the battle at Gettysburg. We'll hear from a meteorologist that has been analyzing weather data to find out what conditions may have been like during the battle. And the 4th of July holiday is almost here. We'll show you how fireworks get their vibrant colors.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We're starting the day with temps running the 60s with unlimited sunshine in the Northeast. A few fair weather clouds will mix in with that sun today. That's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll have low humidity, comfortable early July temperatures. Highs will be in the low 80s. Wednesday picks up where Tuesday left off. Partly to mostly sunny skies make an appearance. If anything, temps might be a degree or two warmer. That's a very weak front right there moving in very early Independence Day. You might get a brief shower, and then the sun returns.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We are nice and dry for your Tuesday and Wednesday. Not expecting any rainfall until we get a little closer towards Thursday as we see our next front approaching. Not ideal for 4th of July plans, but our temperatures will start to warm up. Tuesday looks great. We're still looking at highs today around the mid-80s with lower humidity. Upper 80s on Wednesday. As the humidity is going to start to come back, we'll be seeing that high heat and humidity from Thursday all the way through the weekend.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Here's a look at your afternoon highs today. We have the 80s closer to the coastline, so Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, mid and upper 80s. That continues into the panhandle of Florida, but then we look towards the western part of our area. We have the mid and upper 90s. Also, high humidity is going to stick with us through about midweek until we see high pressure settle into our mid levels. But throughout the day today, we are going to see isolated showers and thunderstorms. Wednesday, we dry out just a little bit.
Presented by the National Weather Desk.
Watch this. A time-lapse captures clouds rolling into southern New Mexico, opening up and unleashing an incredible downpour. The storm system caused flash flooding, power outages, and damaged several homes. As expected, the northern lights were visible Friday night. These images come from Montana. And this peaceful sunrise was spotted this morning not far from South Bend, Indiana.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on TikTok.
This week marks the 161st anniversary of the three-day battle at Gettysburg, a pivotal moment in the Civil War and American history. Amy Gracie spoke to a meteorologist from Penn State University who has been analyzing weather data from that time in an effort to better understand what the battlefield was like for the soldiers.
Yeah, the battle was fought July 1 through 3, 1863, in Gettysburg, a small community in south central Pennsylvania, not far from the Maryland border. The research I'm working on actually focuses on the entire Gettysburg campaign, which most historians argue began around June 3rd, when most of the armies were near Fredericksburg, Virginia. So it's that whole period that we're trying to look at a little more carefully than has been done in the past.
Before you started this research, what was kind of the general idea of what weather was like during the battle?
It was warm and it was humid. Many people who know a little bit about history have probably heard of Pickett's Charge as being sort of a culminating battle on the afternoon of July 3rd. We know that the temperature was around 90, and some of the new work that we've done recently have estimated the dew point was in the mid 70s. Now, for those who aren't familiar with dew point, it's a way we meteorologists convey discomfort. And once the dew point gets to that 75, as you know, that's pretty uncomfortable. That's kind of like South Florida in summer.
Yeah.
And so we think the heat index at the peak of the battle, and this is sort of the new work that we did that no one had ever estimated before, was around 100. They've just walked, some of them, 30 miles in 24 hours to get to Gettysburg once the battle started. So you've got dehydration, exhaustion. They're not eating properly, poor sanitation, and they're carrying tens of pounds of equipment. So, the weather, you might say, well, 90 degrees, heat index of 100, that's not good, but it could be worse. And absolutely it could be worse. But, heat index doesn't take into account any of those things. And it also doesn't take into account, were you in the sun?
And that was Emily Gracie with the interview. To hear more from Dr. Deese, including how he made his calculations for that day, check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. You'll hear more about many historical dates in history that he's looking at and the importance of forensic weather analysis for those events. Find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to podcasts. Strong to severe storms were elevated this past spring over parts of Oklahoma. As meteorologist Joey Bettenhausen explains on Instagram, a lot of it is due to transitioning from El Nino to La Nina.
Well, we've actually been in an El Nino climatological pattern this year, whereas the past 3 years we were in La Nina. So let's talk about these patterns. When you are in an El Nino pattern, the eastern equatorial Pacific actually has above normal water temperatures. It's just off of the west coast of South America. So when this occurs, you have more of a wetter pattern set up across some of the south, southeast, and Oklahoma is actually included in that, whereas we're drier to the little bit to the northeast and warmer to the northwest. Now, this isn't a slam dunk pattern, but it offers a little bit of guidance as to what we could expect going forward as that pattern settles in. So this would make sense. We were wetter, we were stormier, definitely through this springtime here in Oklahoma. Right now, we are in ENSO neutral, so we are done with El Nino, but it looks like La Nina may return as we get into the late summer, so potentially July through September. There's about a 65% chance, and that's when the eastern equatorial Pacific starts to see cooler than normal temperatures, but it looks like there's a greater chance for La Nina sticking around through the wintertime. Now, generally speaking, we normally see warmer and drier conditions in Oklahoma with this pattern set up, so we'll just have to see how the rest of the summer fares.
Lightning can be both fascinating and beautiful, but also extremely dangerous. Meteorologist AJ Castor looks at how lightning forms and shares some tips how you can stay safe when lightning is in your area.
It begins with electrons. It begins zigzagging down. It's called a stepped leader, and this is in bouts around 50 meters, so relatively large kind of strains going on down. At the same time, it draws a positive charge upward. Negatives and positives like to come together. As we do know, with magnets as the leader, the streamer merge, we do see that electrical current start to develop, and that's exactly when you get lightning, is when those two meet. The return stroke is what we see, traveling at 60,000 miles per second, but that's really not a notable number. As we do know, lightning flashes are very brief and quick. The process can be repeated several times, so this is the time scale of less than a second, but when you do get that repeating process, it of course can be longer than just 1 second. The most common type of lightning is intercloud lightning, also known as cloud to cloud, but the most dangerous one is cloud to ground lightning. That is very common. That's the most dangerous one as well. The taller the object, the more metallic the object, the better chance it is to get struck. Don't retreat to dugouts or anything with an open side. You want to make sure you're not going under large trees. That's where we do see a lot of fatalities, unfortunately, on golf courses. Do go inside when you hear thunder or see lightning. Finding a sturdy house, building, or car. Stay inside for at least 30 minutes from that last bolt of lightning you see or that last rumble of thunder. Set a timer right on your phone. Always want to make sure we are being safe.
Spending a hot day at the beach can be very nice, especially when there's a sea breeze, provides a bit of relief from the heat. Meteorologist Amy Aronson explains how they form.
Let's head to the beach, where a simple sea breeze can impact temperatures on a warm summer day. This happens as the sun heats the ground and the hot air rises faster over land. This air then flows towards the cooler ocean waters where it sinks back down. This air then cycles back towards land as a cool sea breeze. A sea breeze can actually dip temperatures on the beach by 10 to 30 degrees. In Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, I'm meteorologist Amy Aronson.
Let's check out weather across the country today. We begin in Providence, Rhode Island, where fantastic weather is on the way. Plan for lots of sunshine, low humidity at highs around 85 degrees. In New Orleans, an excessive heat warning is in effect until 7 p.m. Central Time, with forecast highs in the upper 90s at heat index values ranging from 112 to 118 degrees. Overnight temperatures will likely stay above 85 in the city. Now to El Paso, Texas, with high temperature of 101 in the forecast. A few passing clouds may bring a pop-up shower or two, but won't amount to very much. And we'll end in California and a look at the Santa Monica Pier. Planned for a partly cloudy afternoon with highs in the lower 70s. Farther inland, we're looking at temperatures that will likely surpass 100 degrees, where excessive heat warnings have now been posted. Time now for a short break, but first, check this out. A farm in Pennsylvania.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Scattered strong storms across the central part of the plains for the day today. Dry across the Ohio Valley, but all those storms work their way to the east as we head into the day tomorrow. A lot of temperatures in the 80s across the Midwest for Wednesday. And by the time that we get to Thursday, more developing storms. So it looks like Mother Nature may have its own fireworks for us for the 4th of July there on Thursday. And temperatures still staying in the 80s for most of the Midwest, 70s to the north.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're starting off at 81 degrees in El Paso, still into the 80s from Dallas, all the way back up into Oklahoma City. A little cooler, actually, as you get down to the south. We're watching a very weak system out to the east, going to fall apart. Scattered to hit and miss showers right along the coast. We'll also see some hit and miss showers back up across North Texas. Going to be another hot and a humid afternoon, particularly deep down south. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's the scene across the west. Hot temperatures with excessive heat warnings soaring up through the central valleys of California and into Nevada and Arizona. This triple-digit heat is dangerous. To have it in such a long stretch of time over a series of days, that excessive heat warning in California now pushing up into a watch for parts of Oregon and Idaho. Plus, the flash flooding from showers and thunderstorms continues for parts of the Four Corners. That's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
The 4th of July is almost here, which means lots of vibrant fireworks to enjoy. Meteorologist Teresa Carter explains how these pyrotechnics get their amazing colors.
There will be all kinds of colors that will light up the night sky on July 4th. But how do the fireworks get their colors? Well, the answer is minerals. Those minerals are barium, which produces bright greens, strontium yields deep reds, copper produces blues, and sodium yields yellow. Now, magnesium produces white and calcium orange. Gold sparks are produced by iron filings and small pieces of charcoal. Bright flashes and loud bangs come from aluminum powder. Fireworks get their colors from the different metal compounds that are added to the burning mixture and then heated to high temperatures. Now, when ignited, the heat causes a chemical reaction in the compounds, releasing energy in the form of light. The atoms or ions emit wavelengths of light, which create the colorful displays.
Looking for more original weather content? Check us out on social media. Just search the National Weather Desk. We're back after this. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. Be sure to join us again tomorrow. Good day.